In marketing, you can never sit on your laurels for too long. So much changes so quickly, and it's important to keep up or you get left behind. With that in mind, let's look at some of the ways you can repurpose your in-person content to online, giving it a whole new lease of life and ensuring it stays relevant and accessible. Keep listening to find out more. You're listening to the Content10x Podcast, where it's all about content repurposing. I'm Amy Woods, and I'm here to help you maximise your content and find smart ways to get your message in front of more of the right people, whilst also saving time. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Content10x Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Woods, the founder of Content10x. And in this episode, I'm going to dive into 3 ways that you can repurpose your in-person content to online. Now, in the life of every business, there are changes and adaptations that need to be made in order to keep up with the ever-changing times. Adapt or die, as they say. Now, that might sound a little extreme, but it's 100% true. And as we all know, marketing is one of those industries where you cannot sit back for a moment, because as soon as you take your eye off the ball, something has changed or updated or improved. So, in today's episode, I will cover why it's so important to adapt and change, ways to repurpose in-person content to online, and bridging the online-offline gap. However, before I get into the main content, I just wanted to highlight the Content10x Repurposing Effectiveness Scorecard if you want to find out how your content repurposing strategy and efforts compares to others and get specific tips and advice on how to improve. Then look no further than our scorecard. It's free, it's 21 quickfire questions, it shouldn't take any more than 3 minutes, so just head to content10x.com/scorecard and see how you get on. Now, as I was saying, you want to be constantly on your toes when it comes to updating and repurposing your content so as to always be relevant. Now, I definitely don't want to dwell on the bad old pandemic days for long, but I do think it's important to mention that the changes brought about by this period in our recent history have been pretty immense. And we saw businesses that were in person changing the way they reach people in really quite exciting and innovative ways. For example, the Louvre in Paris and San Diego Zoo offered virtual tours, which I'm sure were amazing. Things that I took part in included virtual wine tasting experience that would have been in person, attending intimate online music concerts. I even took part in a virtual escape room, which was fantastic. Now, in the B2B marketing world, we of course saw the rise of virtual events, and I took part in many virtual events, many of which were produced to a really high standard. All these examples definitely showed us that there's often creative ways to repurpose in-person offerings to online, so we can continue to add value to our audiences and provide new and interesting ways for them to consume our content. As content marketers, let's look at 3 ways that we can repurpose in-person content to online. So the first one I want to look at is repurposing an in-person workshop, seminar, talk, presentation into a webinar. So here I'm talking about video recording, you delivering your presentation, so that you can then repurpose all or some of the video into a webinar. So basically the seminar becomes the webinar. Like I said, perhaps you share all of the presentation or just some of it. Now, you could consider live streaming your in-person presentation or seminar, and then you could market it to your audience as a live webinar. So you'll have some of the audience attend in person to see you talk and some attending live and online. But if you're not keen on the idea of live streaming, as I've already mentioned, you could still share it in a pre-recorded webinar style format. Now, webinars boomed during 2020 for obvious reasons, but since then they haven't lost their popularity. According to livewebinar.com, 85% of marketers who use webinars as a marketing tool say they are crucial for their marketing efforts. Of course, this doesn't mean you have to give up on your in-person workshops. If they're working for you and your audience, that's awesome. You can just make them go further by video recording them and then repurposing them into a webinar option too. You reach more people and connect with them in a different way. So perhaps not as intimate a connection as being there in person in the room. But if you're in Manchester, UK, and you're trying to reach people in New York or Sydney or other parts of the world, it's not realistic that they're going to be able to make it to all of your presentations or workshops or seminars or maybe any of them ever. So let's make the most of the internet and make the most of the power of repurposing and look at how you can repurpose those in-person talks into delivery to those people online in other locations in the world. Another way you can repurpose in-person offerings is to create an online course. Now, the stats show that the popularity of online learning is showing no sign of slowing down. TechJury.net reports that the worldwide e-learning market is projected to be worth $325 billion in 2025. And interestingly, that e-learning increases retention rates by 25 to 60%. So if you video record any in-person training, seminars, workshops or events, for example, you can bundle these videos up and perhaps turn them into an online course. So basically this is taking what we mentioned in the first point about a webinar, but doing it on a bigger scale. Now, the beauty of this option is that there are some great, easy-to-use sites out there to help you do this quickly and professionally. Sites like Thinkific, which we use at Content10x to host our online course called the Content10x Toolkit. There's also Kajabi, Udemy, Teachable, Skillshare, all designed to help you transform your content into an online course. They'll host and deliver your course and even handle everything from payments, personal login, student progress and so on. They're all different, they have slightly different offerings, so if you're interested, just do the research and find one that suits you and your content the most. And of course, if you have budget to build something custom on your website to host a course, that's great. Or you might have built-in functionality on your website CMS already to host an online course, so do look into that. Now, I looked at how to repurpose your content into an online course in depth in a previous episode of the same name, actually, how to repurpose your content into an online course. So that could be really helpful if you're looking at this option. Do head to content10x.com/251 to find out more and listen to that episode or read the blog post. Then for the third option, how about creating a membership site? As you no doubt know, online memberships are a brilliant way of trading your expertise and skills, and they tend to have the community focus too. But building a successful community requires time and commitment, not to mention lots of content. So here, what I'm saying is, instead of people paying a one-off fee for your online course, you could encourage them to pay a recurring membership fee in order to get access to all of your content through your membership. So you might be thinking, but how is this an example of offline to online repurposing? Well, for example, let's say you run a weekly marketing event and you go to different cities around the country every week with different experts presenting great content. I'm sure that there would be some people who hate the fact that they can only travel to some of these great events that you put on and probably get FOMO about the ones that they miss. So wouldn't it be great to offer a membership option where they can pay a monthly fee to see the recordings of each and every event? Maybe it could be some sort of hybrid membership where you can pay a membership fee and it allows you to attend so many in-person events every quarter or every year, along with unlimited access to recordings of all the other events, so those you cannot make in person. So that's just one example here. That's something offline that could become online in the form of an online membership. If you're curious about running an online membership site, I highly recommend checking out the Membership Geeks. Take a look at membershipgeeks.com and their Membership Academy, which provides everything you need to build a successful online membership community. Mike and Callie, who run Membership Geeks, are good friends of mine, and they really are the leaders in teaching people how to be successful with developing, growing and monetizing membership communities and online recurring revenue businesses, so do check them out. And just to mention that another way to monetize membership content is by using the Patreon platform. So Patreon enables you to take payments from your audience in exchange for sharing content with them. So that's just another option. You could always look into Patreon as well. Also, just to mention here, looking at things from another angle, I've been talking about repurposing in-person talks and seminars and workshops into webinars, courses and memberships, coming at it from the angle of the event or workshop or meetup organiser. But if you're a speaker who has delivered a talk at an event or a workshop or a seminar, remember there's enormous repurposing potential for you too. So I think that's a whole other episode on speaker repurposing. Watch this space, but just to shout out that many options apply to you too when it comes to maximising content from your talks. So if you're trying to bridge an offline-online gap in your content, ask yourself how you could create online content based on what you already know and deliver offline. So there you have it. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it's inspired you to keep constantly evolving and adapting your content. And if you're looking for help with content repurposing, then we at Content10x may be just what you need. Our end-to-end, fully done for you content repurposing services help you to maximize your video and audio content, whether that's from thought leadership videos to webinars to virtual events and more. So do get in touch with us if you would like help. We'd love to speak. Head to content10x.com/services to learn more about what we do and find out how you can get in touch with us. If you'd like to connect with me, just find Amy Woods, founder of Content10x, on LinkedIn. So please do connect with me there and let me know that you listen to the podcast. And also check out Content10x on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. All that's left to say is thank you so much for listening to this week's episode, and I will catch you in the next one.